Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Friday, April the 12th. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development. Couple of stakes, including a grade one on the Friday card. And we'll start with the first of the two stakes in the 7th, the Limestone Turf Sprint for 3-year-old fillies at 5.5 furlongs. And you've got, I think, probably 3 horses here that look real strong. A couple of Wesley Wards. Who do you like in the Limestone?
Well, I like one of the Wesley Wards. Stillwater Cove, I can make a case for, but I don't like the fact that she's been off since November. So Chelsea Cloisters has as well. Both of them ran in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. I just think Chelsea Cloisters is a little bit classier. What happened last week with our opening day stakes, Wesley entered Chelsea Cloisters in against the boys and then got the 13 hole, I think, and scratched her out. And then she draws a 12 hole in this one. So I think he's kind of unlucky this meet, if nothing else. I still think she's the class of the race. I think it goes through her, but there's a couple other options that I think are worth looking at. Ginger Nut, the one for John Sadler, was heavily bet in the Melody of Colors at Gulfstream, first race out this year after shipping over here from Great Britain for John Sadler. Play On, my other horse that I like, won that race, but this horse had a really bad trip, and they put her in a little stakes coming over. There was a 21-2 and 43-4 split, so the 5 furlong. She closed into that pace and only got beat by 3 lengths after a bad start. So I'm going to use her at 5-1 with Rosario. I'm also going to use Play On, as I mentioned. I love the buyer progression. I love the fact that she's won 3 in a row with really. The last 2 have been no contest, and I think that she's showed her versatility, got off the turf and won at Fairgrounds. Brad Cox and Castellano, who's obviously been hot. But Chelsea Cloisters is my pick. I think she's the class of the race. She's run second a lot, so if you like that, I like the horse from the outside. Maybe not quite getting there, but she's still the class of the race. So when we get to pick 4, that's the 3 I'm going to take. I'm not going to use Stillwater Cove, but I may regret it in the end. And I think the race does go through those 4 horses.
Well, one piece of info I can give you on Chelsea Cloisters, it was not so much the post position that caused the scratch as the surface. We interviewed Wesley for the Today at Keeneland show on one of the horses he had in that opening day stake, and he said he had entered Chelsea Cloisters in case it rained because she liked a little more give in the ground. So, okay. And there should be some give in the ground by the time this race goes on Friday, so that should help her, although it's still obviously not a great post position. I ended up going to Play On here. I like the form that she's in. 3 wins in a row, steadily improving. Got an 85 buyer last time. So she's going to be my win pick, but I've got to use the 2 Wesley Wards, certainly. And then I had Ginger Nut written down next. And in a couple of prices, Beechwood Ella and Blame the Frog. If the layoff and the bad posts knock out Wesley's 2 horses and limit them, then you could find a price underneath, and I think both of those are intriguing with good draws. But Play On for me in the Limestone Turf Sprint. The Grade 1 Makers 46 Mile is the 9th race, and I thought this was a really well-matched group, and I would like to go against the favorite, but I just couldn't find enough reasons to do that, so I went to Raging Bull. Grade 1 winner. Now, this is the first time against older horses, and a little bit of a layoff, but the horse is 1 here to mile. It's Chad Brown, so you can be ready off a layoff. Good local work. He's shown good form on less than firm turf. So there were just a lot of reasons to come back to Raging Bull for me, and so that's who I landed on. Delta Prince, though, I think, has got a big shot. Castellano's been red hot. He's riding this one. This horse got a 104 buyer in a Grade 1 last year, and anything close to that could win this. Curebon, I thought, was going to be a little better than he's turned out to be, or do a little more than he's turned out to do after that first win at Saratoga last year, but still been consistent and good figures, so I'm going to throw him in the mix for this race. And then Dr. Mounty for Shug had a nice win last time. I'm going to go against the defending champ, Heart to Heart. I don't think he's quite as good as he used to be, but Dr. Mounty seems to be in good form, so I think he's worth considering. How about you in the Makers 46 Mile?
Yeah, and it's not a 46-mile race. What is it? When we changed the name, I guess 4 years ago, Makers 46 is obviously their newer bourbon that's been in existence for 6 or 7 years, seems like. And they wanted a more higher profile, a higher profile for this race. So 46 miles would wear these horses out. I don't think they're going to run 46 miles. I almost went to heart out of sentiment, I guess. I love this horse, but I do think he's over the top a little bit. And Great Wide Open certainly compromises his chances to go wire to wire, and that's the only way he can win. So don't think those two. I think those two are going to wear each other out, and somebody's going to come and get them. I could not choose between the two, Delta Prince, the 4-horse, and Raging Bull, the 1. I think the points you make about Raging Bull, if you get 3-1 on him, it might be a really good price. I think when Battaglia made the morning line here, he has a 3-1, a 7-2, and 2 4-1. So he's obviously thinking the public's going to spread their money. I think of those horses, I think Raging Bull is probably the most likely winner. But I'm like you, I can't toss Delta Prince. If he runs back to what he's run in the past, he's going to be tough to handle. And at Gulfstream in particular, on the Pegasus Day, he got a 103 buyer, only got beat 2 3/4 by Bricks and Mortar. What would Bricks and Mortar be if he were in this field? I think he'd be like 3-5. So I think Delta Prince is a good bet as well. So I'm going to take those two when we get to pick 4. It's a well-matched field, a little bit of a shorter field than we usually get in the Maker's Mark, but hopefully it will be a great race.
I think it should be. I'll throw one more thing out there. I talked to James Graham for an interview that'll be on Keeneland's social media, and he rides Great Wide Open, and he says he thinks that horse is at his best at a mile and can sit just off the pace if need be, and likes a little less firm turf. Not needs it soft or anything, but just likes it a little less than really hard turf. And he thought it was maybe a little hard for his horse on that grass down at the fairgrounds. So for what it's worth, James seemed to be optimistic. Let's go to the pick 4. Starts in the 7th. What's your ticket look like?
All right, my ticket in the 7th has the 3 horses that I mentioned: Ginger Nut the 1. Play on the 8, and Chelsea Cloisters the 12, so 1, 8, 12. Going deep in the allowance race of the 8th, I think this one's wide open, and I basically used the 2 Kershaw with Ortiz, Cassie Story the 3, very consistent, drops in class, and Autostrad the 7 for Graham Motion and Castellano, just because it's Graham Motion and Castellano. Sonneteer the 8 for Keith DeSormo and Lannery. Raising the Flag, the 11 for Michael Maker, caught a sloppy track at Gulfstream last out and didn't run as well. Catch a fast track, I think that might be my top win pick. And I used Just Whistle at 12 because of Johnny Velasquez. So I'm betting jockeys here. I think this is a race that you could go very deep in. I'm going to go 6 deep with a 2, 3, 7, 8, 11, 12. Then in the Makers, I'm going to stick with the 2, Raging Bull the 1 and Delta Prince the 4. And in the 10th race, which is a maiden special weight, I didn't like any of the. I didn't like only one of the horses that have raced before. I used Blinkers, the 1 for Brett Calhoun, the 9 Violent Lady for Dallas Stewart, and the 11 Palomita for Chad Brown. If it weren't Chad Brown and Castellano, I would really like Violent Lady. I think Violence has been a great early sire, and the horse caught a sloppy track at Fairgrounds, and I really like Violence off spring. So I'm going to go 1, 9, 11 there. So my pick 4 ticket is 1, 8, 12 with 2, 3, 7, 8, 11, 12 with 1, 4 with 1, 9, 11 for $54.
I am going 3 deep in the first leg, the 2 Wesley Wards and Play On, so that's 8, 10, 12. Then I'm going 4 in the second leg. I always like the inside posts on these 1-mile dirt races, so 2, 3, 4, and then I am going to throw in Sonneteer, the 8, just on a little bit of how classy he is. He's kept really good company. So 4 deep in there. Like you, I'm just using the 2 in the next leg in the Makers 46, 1 and 4. And then 1, 4, 6, 10, 11 in the last leg. I like Doll Collection a little bit in there, just kind of playing a hunch. This is a horse by Tappet, and it's Groupie Doll's second foal, and shows a bullet work. It's a homebred for a local farm, and big day, big stake day. So I'm just kind of playing a hunch there that Doll Collection might be well meant. But Made to Be for Al Stahl, I think it's a price horse that's real dangerous. I like Blinkers too, Palomita, and then I included Sail On as a 5th one. So 5 horses in there for me, so it's a $60 ticket for 50 cents. Best of luck with your wagers on the Makers 46-day card, Friday, April 12th. We'll be back for another edition of this In the Money podcast for Saturday. 4 stakes races on the card on Saturday, including the Grade 3 Lexington and the Grade 1 Jenny Wiley. That's the In the Money podcast from KeenelandSelect.com.